Our plan about Steve Kerr. We're going to play some Steve Kerr sound. And, where are we starting? Oh, here's Steve Kerr on why Curry reacted so emotionally to Draymond's ejection.
Every game being so important, us fighting for everything, and then for Draymond to get kicked out 3 minutes in, it was really unforgivable, and Steph may have even been a little upset with himself for not pulling Draymond out of there, but I think mostly it was just, come on, man, we need this. And then, Steph is such a fighter. He's such a competitor. He wants it so badly. And I think all of that combined just led to that reaction.
Now, Kerr also mentioned that what Draymond did, getting kicked out, was unforgivable. And to the people, this is the one that hit me, because whenever something happens to Draymond Green, people were quick to question Steph Curry's leadership. Oh, he's not a leader.
How are they correlated?
I don't understand how they're correlated. I'm not even going to try to figure out what the logic is into that. But what is Curry supposed to do? He said it in front of Draymond Green. There's Stephen Curry. There's Yusuf, the security guard. There's Chris Paul. There's Brandon Podziemski. Who else do you need? Like Steve Kerr mentioned, is like, if you pull Draymond away, it looks worse.
What about individual accountability?
Exactly. So here's what Steve Kerr said to those questioning Curry's leadership, which is just asinine.
Any mention of Steph being culpable is just ridiculous. The way Steph has carried our franchise, represented our franchise for 15 years, it's absolutely ridiculous. He was the first one out there. You saw he was the first one out there trying to talk Draymond off and handled it the right way. And the reason Draymond got kicked out is because as he was walking back to the bench, he muttered an expletive that the refs heard. And so he deserved it. You can't do that. But that's not Steph's fault.
Right.
That's Draymond's fault, and that's, Steph was trying to do everything he could to get him out of there.
Yeah, why do people question Steph's leadership when Draymond's doing what he's doing? What is Steph supposed to do?
Because they don't like Steph, and they want to chip away at the Steph, motif, if you will, the aura of Steph Curry. That's my particular feel on it. I don't think Steph has anything to do with Draymond or Clay or Jordan Poole or CP3 or TJD. If something happens here at work, right? For example, heaven forbid something happened to someone here at work. That's not a reflection on you, Vontae, or me.
Right.
One thing I've learned as I get older and older in life, I have very little control about what others can do.
Right.
Very little control.
It's funny because, for example, we always go back and forth about in-stadium fighting, right?
Yes.
And we're both not fans of in-stadium fighting.
Who is?
But I'm always the one to mention that, look, man, I can't control how another person feels.
It's true.
When you slander them or tell them something that you shouldn't be telling them. Same thing here in this situation. Mm-hmm. I can't control another grown man. Grown man's going to do what a grown man's going to do.
100%.
It's not my lane to do that. My lane is to take care of my family.
Well, and I thought that Steph Curry in the moment, if you watch the video over prior, during, and after, I thought that Steph Curry, like a good teammate, had his right arm on Draymond, kind of saying, all right, that's enough in his own way, which if you've watched Steph Curry's career, he's not an instigator. He's not a riler up. He's not someone that's going to add to that. He was diffusing the situation. Draymond was not listening. There are times when people are out of control and they're not going to listen to you, and that was one of those moments. And then after he gets ejected, clearly you could see Steph's just exhausted by the whole thing.
The fact that we're questioning Steph's leadership.
It's unfair.
They never do this with LeBron. Never do this with Kevin Durant.
I hadn't even thought about that.
You never do this with other players. Has any other player, Jordan didn't get ripped for leadership issues when Dennis Rodman was flying off the handle?
No.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody questioned his leadership or Scottie Pippen's leadership with that team. Nobody questioned that. They didn't question Kobe or Phil Jackson's leadership when it came to Ron Artest. Why are we question, Steph's the only guy where these things, Finals MVP matters.
What about
clutch stuff matters, leadership, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what?
Here's the question I have. Why not question Draymond's leadership?
Right.
Like, forget Steph. Like,
right.
what
Why are we going to Steph?
I don't get it.
I don't either. By the way, the segment is sponsored by Go to State Lumber, serving the Bay Area for 3 generations. It's such a great point. When you succeed, we succeed. Visit GoToStateLumber.com. You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. And don't forget, you can also watch us every day on our YouTube and Twitch streams. Just log on and search 95.7 The Game. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel while you are there. Brought to you by First NorCal Credit Union. Upgrade your savings dividend. Open at First NorCal First Class Money Market today, and you can now download the Odyssey app directly from our YouTube and Twitch pages, as we have added the QR code on both pages. Now, shout out to the Comcast Business X line. And it's a thing that we've touched on, Shasky. How can Draymond be a leader for this team when these things happen? You know, with the stuff that has happened over the last 2 years, is Jonathan Kuminga looking at him as a leader, or, you know, all this stuff? That's the leadership that you question. You're so right about that. Why are we jumping straight to Steph?
I just don't.
You want Steph to drag Draymond Green off the floor again? And I agree with Steve Kerr. It looks a lot worse if you do that. You can hold Draymond back. Nothing was happening.
I mean, when someone has done the amount of things that Draymond has done, like at some point, he needs to accept the culpability. Now, if you want to zoom out, and you want to say organizationally, there's been a lack of discipline, or they've enabled certain behaviors and things like that, then yes, I'll start to listen to all of that. But to immediately criticize Steph Curry's leadership, you haven't been paying attention the last 15 years. And leadership comes in many forms. You know, there's a lot of people who, like Buster Posey is a great example. I never looked at Buster Posey as the rah guy outwardly. But then I'm also not in the clubhouse, and I don't see what is being told behind the scenes. I don't know whose arm he's got, you know, who he's behind, or put his arm around somebody's shoulder and talking to them, or the tutelage or the texting that he's doing on the side. Like, just because someone's screaming and yelling on the sidelines or out on the field doesn't mean that their leadership doesn't show up in other facets.
No,
and so
it's a great point about Posey, because I remember going to those clubhouses. You could see the respect and the command Posey had in that clubhouse.
Exactly.
When they lost the game, the tone was appropriate. Posey's tone, he was not a good loser.
Is Joe Montana a leader?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah,
he wasn't the most outspoken one.
No, I can't.
They showed the moment where he spoke before the Chicago game.
Yes.
Soldier Field, and it was awkward as hell.
Yeah.
But they were like, we follow Joe.
Because he doesn't say much.
We follow Joe.
And so I just think that
Brock Purdy's not outgoing, Shasky.
No, but
his team made him the captain. They're like, he's our leader.
He has leadership qualities, though, and that's what I would say. And like, I think their leadership shows itself in many, many different forms. And I think the worst thing is to be fake as a leader. So, like, for example, there's that Andy Dalton sound that we always like to play. It's like not in his nature. When I think of fake leadership, I think of like Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Like fake leader.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel authentic to me.
Doesn't feel authentic.
And I think that you have to be authentic to yourself. And then also, you know, Tim Duncan was a great leader. A great leader. A lead by example guy.
Tim Duncan didn't say a damn thing.
Tom Brady did not become the outspoken Tom Brady until later on in his career.
Exactly.
Very different.
Exactly.
Now, Peyton Manning's totally different. He's psycho, and he's going to yell and control everybody. He's very controlling.
Drew Brees.
Yeah. But I think we're getting at the same thing. Like Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson is a leader. Yeah. I do. And I don't see him screaming and yelling at people during the regular season. Now, in the playoffs, he did kind of lose himself a little emotionally, but I think he's a great leader. I just think it shows itself in many different forms.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's go to